This is Democracy Now! I'm Amy Goodman with Juan Gonzalez. As we look at how the former Chicago Black Panther leader, Fred Hampton, is linked to a measure on the ballot in next Tuesday's election in Chicago. It was December 4th, 1969, when Chicago police raided Fred Hampton's apartment and shot and killed him in his own bed. Hampton was just 21. Evidence shows the FBI, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, and the Chicago police had conspired to assassinate him. The demand for police accountability for Fred Hampton and Mark Clark's murder has grown in the half-century that followed. It reached a turning point in 2014 with the Chicago police murdered black teenager Laquan McDonald. Dash camera video of the murder shows police shot McDonald 16 times, then tried to cover it up. This and other killings by Chicago police and the protests that followed reinvigorated a local movement for community control of the police. Now, as part of the February 28th election, Chicago residents will have a chance to vote for candidates to local police councils. They'll choose 3 representatives from each of the city's 22 police districts to have a say on community policing issues across the city. 7 will be part of a community commission for public safety and accountability that plays a role in police oversight bodies and setting police department policy. For more, we're joined by Frank Chapman, longtime Chicago activist, field organizer, and education director of the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, and a leader in the campaign for an elected Civilian Police Accountability Council. Welcome to Democracy Now! It's been half a century in coming to this point where the mayoral race will also have these elections taking place. Frank, explain the significance.
Well, I think you've explained it to some extent already. This is the first time in history, first time ever in the United States, that our people are being given a democratic option to say who polices their communities and how their communities are policed. And as you pointed out in your introduction, this particular chapter was opened up by Fred Hampton and the Black Panther Party back in 1969 when they put this on the agenda, on the black agenda. Today, we have made a lot of progress since then. Today, we have an ordinance that's in effect called Empowering Communities for Public Safety. And on February the 28th, we're going to elect people to the police district councils. These are people who are mainly working class people. Most of them are black and brown, and none of them are professional politicians. So this is a very democratic grassroots movement. These people are going to be holding the police accountable going forward. Nothing like this has ever happened before in U.S. history, and so it's going to be a history-making event on February the 28th when we elect these representatives to the district councils to hold the police accountable for what they do and what they don't do.
And Frank, if you could explain some of what the actual powers or responsibilities of these district community groups will be, because I don't see in the law whether they really have any enforcement or measures to directly hold the police accountable other than communicating with them on a regular basis.
But they do. It is in the law. What the district councils will do, the district councils will nominate 14 people who will be sent to the mayor to be appointed to a citywide commission. She has to pick 7 people out of those 14. She can't dismiss the 14. She has to pick 7 out of the 14. Or he has to pick 7 out of the 14, whoever the mayor is. And what happens after that is that these 7 people, 2 representing the south side, 2 representing the west side, and 2 representing the north side, and 1 at large, they will have oversight over all police policy, everything that the police do. And we will hire and fire whoever is the head of the COPRA, the Civilian Office of Police Accountability, which is the investigative body. So we will have powers to look at all police policies and question them, and to make initiatives of our own if we think policy should be changed. Like, for example, no-knock warrants, stop and frisk. You know, we can change all of that, and we will have the power to do that once we get once this election is over and we get our people into place.
Now, there's some reports as well that the PBA or some law enforcement groups are also backing candidates in these races. Could you talk about that as well?
Sure. The FOP has been opposed to this from the beginning. So them running candidates means only one thing, and that is that they're going to try to torpedo our ability to implement this ordinance. We know who the candidates are. We're going to expose them, and we know what their agenda is. Their agenda is that this law not be enforced. So we are going to confront them, and we're going to beat them. Most of the people on the ballot, and you can't vote for somebody if they're not on the ballot, most of the people on the ballot are our people that I've already explained who they are. Mainly black and brown people who are working class people who have no background in being politicians or things of that sort. These are community grassroots people who want to see a change, who want to hold the police accountable for the crimes that they commit.
Well, as we wrap up, Frank, our next guest is Angela Davis, who you know well. You fought for her freedom, and then she fought for yours. Can you introduce her for us as we move into this last segment, which is about the assassination, this 58th anniversary of the assassination of Malcolm X?
Well, she fought for my freedom. She got out before I did. I was doing life in 50 years when Angela was freed. And after she was freed in 1971, they went on to found the National Alliance Against Racism and Political Repression in 1973. And in 1976, I came home. And that would not have happened had it not been for Angela Davis and the movement that was built around her, which was the United Committees to Free Angela Davis and all political prisoners. So I'm eternally grateful to her and the movement for my own freedom. And that's why I've been engaged in this ever since.
Well, Frank, we thank you so much for being with us. Frank Chapman, longtime Chicago activist, field organizer, and education director of the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Repression, and a leader of the campaign for an elected Civilian Police Accountability Council. Next up, we speak with the professor, with the activist, with the author, Angela Davis. Stay with us.